Hi everyone, my name is Shelly Dressel, and today I'm going to do a ULB mini. As you know, it's about 2 weeks since the election here in the United States, and President Trump has already been naming his cabinet. Some of these need to be confirmed by the Senate, some of these do not need to be confirmed by the Senate. I actually wrote up paper just so that I would get everybody, and here's my intention. I want to just kind of go down the paper, tap into that person. And if I get a message about them, great. If I don't get a message about them, great. But just trying to get a feel for where, these people are going to take this. I found this list this morning on New York Times, which I know tends to be a little bit more left. However, it is a complete list as far as I know. I was looking, and I just couldn't find it. And then finally Googled it, and this is what comes up. And then a friend of mine also says, here's a full list. So it was good. Now, they, of course, had a description of everyone, and it was a little bit hilarious, like Dr. Oz back in 2020. Controversial, did not follow protocol, advocated that people not follow protocol. And I was like, that's a good thing in my mind. But anyway, so I didn't read anything, about that. I just, especially after that, I didn't read anything that the New York Times had to say because I wanted to just have my own personal perspective. Some of these people, I have no clue who they are. Some of these other people, I have seen them and I've seen them talking about things. And so I have a little bit more of a feel for them. So it'll be interesting. But let's see what the ULBs have to say about President Trump and his next term and the people that he's appointed already. Greetings, this is Albayon. I also have others that are here with me. Some are down there on the earth plane. Some of them are from up here where I'm working. And we do want to take this opportunity to talk about these, some of these individuals. There are some that, we'll say a little more about, but on the whole, as we are tapping into everything, this is all great information, meaning the people that he's choosing, it's men, women, it's whoever's going to be best for the job. And it is showing the planet, most especially it is showing those in the United States that he's given great thought to all of this. He's practically been thinking about it for the last 4 years. And some of these people, he made these decisions 6 or 8 months ago and had already approached that individual. And others, these are decisions that have been made within the last several weeks to a month. But we, as you know, we very strongly supported Donald Trump in this election because he is of the light. He does have a higher vibrational frequency. This was his destiny for those people that, believe in that type of thing. But it really is. It was his destiny to be able to cut through all of the nefarious ones, to be able to have the backbone and the strength that was needed to bring in something that was totally different, totally, to be able to break down these old paradigms that have been in place, some of them for thousands and thousands of years. He is not doing it alone. There are many, many, many hundreds of people that are helping him on the earth plane. There are many, many hundreds of people that are helping him from the universal. He does have a very high vibrational essence, and he does have an aspect of him, as does Melania, Barron, and even some of the other kids that is of that universal light. And even if they didn't necessarily come in with this, this is what they have manifested over the last number of years with everything that they've been doing. They are human like anybody else. They're going to have, they're just living their lives, and nobody at this point can live 24/7, week after week after week in that high vibrational frequency. It's just impossible to do. So what is important for you to keep in mind is that they're there, they're doing the work they need to do. They absolutely have alignment with the higher frequency. And then if sometimes they just chill out, they just relax, they just go down, to what's their everyday life, then that's all part of being human. And so don't get swayed by minute or one thing that may happen that you may think, oh, I don't like this. Instead, remember to look at things as the whole. Okay, so I just wanted to say that before we get started. And now I'm gathering the energies, and we have actually asked each one of these to come in as their higher self. And some of them will just come forward, they may nod. Other times they may have a message that they wish to share. So let us begin. These are the people that did not need confirmation from the Senate. Number one, J.D. Vance for vice president. He, of course, wants to come through and speak. Hi, everyone. My name is JD. It's actually longer than that, of course, but I come to you as the representative for the Vice President of the United States. I am here in support of Donald Trump. Do I want to be president in the next round? Who knows? That's too far away, and we have too much transition that this country's going to go through. So I want everyone to just be aware. He's very emotional about this. I want everyone to be very aware that I am here. I love this country. We're just a little bit surprised that he's so emotional. I love this country, and I will do everything in my power to support what is needed to be done so that we can get rid of the corruption and the absolute vile nature of some of these individuals, and we can manifest that the country that we all truly want to have. Thank you. Whew, this is Albayon again. I did not expect that in the least, but I anticipate that there is just so much emotion around all of this. And what Shelly's picking up on now, as she's talking about this, is the emotion perhaps that she herself is feeling, perhaps that some of the other people in this group is feeling. So this is all just, it's just giving you that essence of how deeply they all care. Susie Weiss is going to be the chief of staff. She is so she's here, and she's nodding to me. I can just talk. She is of the light. She is very, very, what's the word I want to use? Fair. She's very strict, but she's got a great deal of humor around her. So she looks at everything with a sense of humor. She has the ability to not take things on personally, and she will do very well at this job. Underneath the deputy chief of staffs, James Blair, Taylor Dubovich, Stephen Miller, and Dan Scavino. So as I'm looking at these, I'm just kind of looking at them as a whole, just because they're all part of that same group. They all have a great deal of respect for Susie. They are glad to be working with her. One of them, Taylor Dubovich, kind of sort of feel in him a little bit of that. Maybe I'll take over at some point. Don't know. Just saying this is what came through to us. And otherwise, they all feel as if they are fair. They all feel as if they have been in this type of arena for a very long time. They understand the ins and outs. We don't feel any sort of naivete, naive. They are not naive. They are. They are here to do a job. They know it's important, and their intention is to filter out and help to protect the president. You know, to be able to not bother him with the minutia, but to be aware of everything that is happening. It feels like Stephen Miller is one. We're getting a sense of the computer. We see him sitting here typing on the computer. I mean, obviously, all of them do, but it feels like maybe he keeps in touch through doing research and scans and understanding what may be going on in the dark web, you know, the web, different sort of things. So this feels as if the staff might add one or two more people to it, but as it is right now, it feels like it's going to be a cohesive. They've already had meetings. They've already been talking about things. In fact, Susie has already spoken with the current chief of staff and is already being updated on things that are going on right now. Okay, Thomas Homan, the border czar. This guy, we have no idea why they're calling him the border czar, but it is a very appropriate name for him. He is he's strong. He's strong, and he believes very, very much in the sanctity of the United States. He believes that someone has to close that border, and someone has to keep those that are entering illegally from coming in illegally. And we feel a very strong sense of him that if people want to follow the rules, do what's needed to come in and have a sponsor and have the other legal ways in which to enter the country and become a part of the country, then he has no problem with that at all. And he sees no problem with the country growing. However, the big key for him is illegal. He was raised in such a way that that the law has always been very, very important to him. He always respects the law. And so he's going to, that's a good question. We heard someone say, how long is it going to take him to shut this down? It feels like he's already started taking measures. He's already working with the Border Patrol, what we're picking up from the Border Patrol is they are happy to have him in place. Most of the people that are on the Border Patrol are ones that were there already when President Trump was in 4 years ago. And so they were part of the creation of the wall, and they are very much looking forward to seeing it enforced once again. And we hear a couple of them say he is very anti-human trafficking, and that's going to be a huge focus for his, not only just close the door and keep all illegals out, but to protect people that have been caught up in human trafficking, and do what he can to improve that situation and shut it down. Michael Waltz is going to be the National Security Advisor. He's walking forward. He does feel like he's very present in the moment. It feels like he and Thomas, and where is this? It feels like there are multiple different people. Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security. It feels like there are multiple of these people that, they overlap with one another, and they have already been having meetings with one another, trying to set things up so that they can work cohesively with one another. But Michael Waltz is taking this job very, very seriously, and we just got this thing that he very strongly wanted to be like either in another type of position, or I believe he might have run for president. But anyway, there's this little sense about him that he wanted to do more. But as he talked with President Trump and as they were making this decision, he is very happy with the National Security Advisor, Secretary Advisor. And it just feels like he's a good communicator, and we do see the potential that he may move into a different position at some point. But starting out with that, it resonates that he'll do a good job. Bill McGinley is the White House counsel. He's very, very versed in, very interesting. When we connected to him, he's showing us documentation. He's been talking about the corruption in DC since probably 2005. And he has brought things before the courts. He has done a lot of different things about trying to take down this corruption in a legal manner. So we think with him being the White House counsel, he knows the ins and outs. He knows what needs to be done, and he's going to be a very strong source. Stephen Chung, the communications director. Okay. For some reason, he feels very quiet to us. Hey, Stephen, we're just trying to, he says, no, I know my job. I will do my job, and I'm happy to be here. Okay. Feels good. His energy feels good to us, but it just feels like he's quiet and reserved and not just out there in your face. Caroline Leavitt as the press secretary, she's going to be great. She has been a press secretary in the past. She has done certain things in the past. She is she's a very good liaison. She's very good at communicating what needs to be communicated to people, and not tolerating and not putting up with those things that do not need to be. In other words, if there are people that try to come in and be loud and talk over her, she has a way of just shutting it down. And the whole time you just feel calm and relaxed as you're watching her do this. She'll do very good. William Scharf is the staff secretary. He feels good. We're not getting any negativity about him. He, again, just like a couple of these others, it just feels like kind of quiet and in the background. But he's telling us his duty is, as the staff secretary, is to keep people informed. And apparently what he's telling us, not everyone knows everything, and don't expect them to all know everything. And it feels like he's the one, like if if President Trump or JD Vance or someone says, "Hey, notify the people," he knows who can understand which and who cannot understand it, or who's on the need to know basis, etc. So it feels like he's going to do well with that. Sergio Gore is going to be in charge of personnel. Feels like he's fair and honest. We're not getting anything else. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Sorry. Shelly tried to work on that name so that she could say it easily. The bottom line is Elon and Vivek, as they're known for, both of them are going to be fabulous. They both have communicated very directly for a very long time about what's been going on. You will see that many of these agencies, there are many agencies that are just doing nothing, that just kind of regurgitate within themselves, and they just do something because they have a job and they're keeping up their job. So it feels like there is a great deal of the government agencies that are going to be eliminated because of them. There's going to be a complete reorganization of the entire federal government, and it's very interesting. It feels like you'll see the plan for things probably within the first 100 days of when he's inaugurated, and you will see the beginning of, in the past it's been like, okay, here's something new we're going to do. It's going to take effect 18 months down the road. We don't see any of that. We feel like things are going to happen immediately. Some things have already been happening in the background. So these two are going to be very, very effective. They're honest, they're direct, and it feels like we have a good resonance with them. Brendan Carr, FCC. With him, I don't know. He just feels masked. FCC. Shelly can't remember offhand what that means. Federal Communications, no, Council, something like that. Anyway, it feels as if he's just very masked when we're reaching out and asking, trying to get a feel for him. As we look at him, we just get this sense of, yeah, he's there. We don't see like a dark cloud. We're not seeing any negative energy. It's nothing at all like that. However, it just feels like he's cloaked. And maybe that's his job, to be kind of in the background, to not have a lot of information that is being given out, and not to be one that you walk down the street and you say, oh, there's so-and-so. It feels like that's what he wants, and that's important for the job. Marco Rubio is going to be Secretary of State. Marco Rubio, sorry. Marco Rubio, hey, are you here? He says, I'm here, and I am very, very excited about this new job. I have run for president. I have been in politics for a very long time. I've done what I needed to do to schmooze with people in the past, but I have never been compromised in the way that people have asked about. There have been rumors about me that people have said that I was taken out. There have been a lot of different things that were falsehoods that were said about me. So I hope that going forward, you can open to see me for all my truth and authenticity. And one of the things that I do want to share with you, which you probably already know, is that with the left being in charge of the mainstream media, they had a very powerful tool for smearing people, for literally saying lies about people, and it was believed. I mean, just look at just look at Donald and what they did to him. So I am very sincere when I say to you that I will do my utmost best. I love our country. Every time someone is saying I love our country, it just brings up emotion in everyone. So we believe, so he's saying, he's back again. He's saying, yeah, because the vast majority of Americans do love their country. And there's still too many that have no idea about what's truly been going on. And they will know, and they will come to the realization of just how important our country is, not only to all Americans, but to everyone in the world. Whew. So he kind of backed up again. So Matt Gaetz is the Attorney General. And these, again, are people that need to be confirmed by the Senate. And Matt Gaetz, he's like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I am ready. I can stand up for myself. I can explain myself. And we're seeing he's very eloquent in how he talks to people and how he gets things done. He too is very aware of how the left have muddied the waters, so to speak, and how they have made lies about different things. And so he's saying, oh no, that's not going to get past me. So it does feel as if he will be confirmed by the Senate, and that much of what you have heard about him are lies that were deliberately placed to discredit him. And so all of that truth will come out. Pete Godseth is the defense, is Department of Defense. He feels like he's a big presence. He feels like he's got a great deal of knowledge. It feels like when we see him, we almost see splitting, standing on both sides. And but our sense as we're looking at him and asking to know more about him is that he's been undercover. He's worked as, he's done a lot of different things in a lot of different jobs, and many of them were not known to other people. So, so it feels as if he has that perspective, or that that perspective of just being on both sides, but it does not feel like that is in truth him. It does feel like he is genuine, and it does feel like he will do well. I don't know. We just keep feeling something in the back, and maybe it's this thing that we're coming, that something's just going to come up or bite him in the butt, as they say. But it just feels like there's something in the back, and we don't know what it is. It's not being clear to us today. Kristi Noem is going to be the head of Homeland Security. She is also very feisty. She's also very smart. She's also very eloquent, and she's standing there like she's got this smile on her face. She's going to be good. She's going to do a good job, and she cannot be intimidated. Many people tried to intimidate her in the past, and she very easily could hold her ground. John Ratcliffe is going to be in charge of the CIA. Now, the CIA, as you know, has had, he says, we asked him to come forward if he would talk about it, because we keep wondering if the CIA is going to be dismantled. And he says, need to know basis, which is, of course, like their their modem adoramus, whatever that phrase is. And but not looking at him specifically, but looking at the CIA, the FBI, it just feels like these organizations are going to go under a massive reconstruction, and it's mostly the people at the top that are the really bad ones, and a lot of them have already been taken out, and more will be removed. And John Ratcliffe is actually going to be the person that cleans out everything and then brings that information to the forefront. You cannot get rid of the CIA 100%, but the way it looks 2 years from now versus the way it is right now is something completely different. And he's the one that's going to be behind that. Tulsi Gabbard is the Director of National Intelligence. Whew, when we said her name, we could just feel our heart expand. She is a very, very intuitive individual. She's got a very high frequency. She's going to do very well with this. Mehmet Oz, who is Dr. Oz. Most people will know him as Dr. Oz, in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. He's going to work hand in hand with Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy is going to be over all of health, health, and under that, okay, so we're jumping down to him. So under that, it's also going to be about the pharmaceutical companies. It's going to be about the way food is grown. It's going to be about the way everything is put together in terms of the health of humanity, of the health of Americans. And so you have to go hand in hand with Dr. Oz, because Medicare and Medicaid kind of puts forth what the other insurance companies are going to do. They kind of follow what Medicare and Medicaid does. So, so the two of them are going to work very, very closely together. There's going to be much greater health in the United States. Just taking out, we hear Robert Kennedy saying, just taking out these chemicals and additives alone is going to begin to make people healthier. And that is already in the process of being done. It will be passed almost immediately. And then companies will be forced to follow it immediately. That is not going to be something down the road. So they're already talking to some of these big corporations and food industries, and letting them know this is coming and you will make these changes. Most of that higher of the corporations have already been replaced, so it does not feel as if that's going to be a problem. So excellent on both of those. Lee Zeldin is going to be in charge of the EPA. This is someone that has been pushing to have truly clean air and clean waters and clean, not someone that can be bought off and let's look the other way, and not with the false information about CO2 and other things that are going on. There are still problems in certain places, but this individual is going to be very clear and very helpful in how that all comes together. Elise Stefanik is going to be the liaison to the UN. Okay, so the UN is going to be dissolved, and so she will be a part of helping that to dissolve and come down, and she will represent the United States. She understands that this is the end of the UN, and she understands that that's her job. So she's good with that. The United Nations was something that was formed as a part of the New World Order, and as the New World Order has been dismantled, which is also that World Economic Forum, all these different things that have been part of the nefarious ones are all going to be dismantled. They're all coming down, and so the UN is a part of that, and she's going to be there to help dismantle that. Doug Burgum is the Department of the Interior. Feels fine. We're not getting anything, truly one way or the other. Doug Collins is going to be in charge of Veterans Affairs. Lots of emotion. His biggest goal is to make sure that the veterans truly get the health care that they need, that the veterans truly get the support that they need medically, and that, number one, there are way more facilities available to them so that they don't have to travel great distances. Number two, they have already, he's kept track of all of these things that the veterans have said. For example, when they had injuries from the vaccines and then the VA refused to help them, he's like, oh, I got that number one on my list. So he is a true advocate for the veterans, and this organization is going to go under a big change, and you will see a lot more respect towards the veterans. And now, don't get me wrong, because I can hear you saying it. There is already a great deal of respect for a lot, and that is something that has changed, especially since the Vietnam War. However, there are many veterans that are homeless. There are many veterans that have suffered depression. There are many veterans that have a lot of problems that are not being addressed. And that's the focus, to bring those back into the fold and to help them in any way they can. And in doing so, they're going to revamp and reorganize this whole system. He's got a huge team underneath him, and many of them have already been working in this system, and they know who to talk to, how to shift it, and what's going to happen. So that's a big change coming up. Horde Lunick is going to be in charge of commerce. We see under commerce that this is about that transition of the dollar. This is about the quantum financial system. This is about the way in which the U.S. stands in competition with the rest of the world, and that is going to have a lot of changes taking place. So he's got a big job ahead of him, but he's worked in it for a long time, and it will, and he will do a good job. Shan Duffy. He wants to bring in some of the electric cars and the electric, but that's kind of like his ultimate goal, is try to make things more efficient for the world, for the air. And his perception is that the electric cars are something that would be good. However, one of his biggest things is, number one, working on the infrastructure of the entire nation. That's got a big priority, and that's going to have a big budget going towards it. Number two, he's really going to work on the trains that go across and trying to use it as a means of giving people an alternative if they don't want to fly, but they can use the trains. And anyway, we just see him talking with Japan and some of these other countries that have very efficient systems that have to do with the train. And that's something that is also an interest of his that he wants to bring in. So we like his energy. He's going to do well. And then Chris Wright is also Department of Energy. For some reason, we see those two being very similar to one another, and are going to work with each other. Chris Wright, as far as the Department of Energy, we see him bringing in a lot of changes. Okay, Chris, why are, I don't know. When he's coming to us, the way that we're seeing him is with this huge load that's stuck on his shoulder, that's sitting here on his shoulders. So it feels like Department of Energy is something that's going to go under a big transition. We will see a lot of jobs coming back to the United States. We will see a lot of things becoming more energy efficient, and he will be involved with bringing in the what is that called, the energy of Tesla, and the energy that's done with magnetics, and the energy that helps to eventually go away from the fossil fuels. But anyway, so he sees the big picture. He knows that there are really huge, massive change coming on, and he is going to be the bridge that helps to clean up and make more efficient that which is already, taking place, and then move into that in the future, the magnetic, what is it called, anti-gravity stuff. There you go, anti-gravity, as far as these trains, and then as far as cars. And so and being able to use that as the energy that supplies your homes and computers and everything. He's got a big job. That's why we see this big, huge and energy here on his shoulders. But he can handle it, and he can do it. Linda McMahon is going to be in charge of education, and they've already said they want to federalize the education system, but she's got a really, really, really big job ahead of her, because she does not want each state to decide, well, in this state, this is how we see the history, and in this state, this is how we see the history, and in this state, we want to, so that each state is dramatically different from one another. She's already working with a team of people to have what is going to be the standard that each state must must use as they're setting up their own systems. And she's also working with the government, or working with someone else, about how are the states going to be able to fund this until the states themselves have gotten to a place of being able to support it. Her biggest criticism, and the reason why she agrees with President Trump that this has to go, is the fact that they have tried to that they have used the education system for grooming, for trying to teach kids on low self-esteem, for trying to teach them that if they want to change their sex, go ahead. And they want, in what's happening right now, is wanting to break up the families and control and manipulate. It's just a nasty feeling. So she understands all that, and she's going to help to get rid of it all, so that when it comes down, and we're seeing 2 years probably, so that when this comes down, the school is going to be very much like what it used to be back in the 50s and the 40s. It's going to be about things that enrich the children. You will see many schools changing a bit, so that those that have trouble sitting still, that the alternative, and they call them alternative schools, but they're not really. I suppose you could say they're an alternative, but she sees the need for different types of teaching, because kids are so different. And her ultimate goal is that each family be a unit unto themselves, and that school is there as a way of strengthening that, and educating these children. So she's fabulous, and she's going to do a great job with that. So that's our list. Shelly's looking, and it's wow, 30 something minutes already. But it is a big deal. We've never done this before. Don't know why. Well, we didn't come out until, yeah, we weren't doing these channelings at the back in 2020. Anyway, so we wanted to just look at this, just because we know Shelly in the background has been saying, who is that person? Who is that person? So as we tapped into all of these people, some of them we feel a much bigger energy around them than others. We don't get any strong negativity. There was one person that we just kept feeling like there was something in the background. But other than that one person, it feels like this is going to be a great cabinet. There are about 8 to 10 more, it feels like, that'll be announced within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And with this as the foundation, anyone else coming in is going to mesh well with it. Those that are the nefarious ones, those that have walked, that have really worked to undermine President Trump in his last presidency. None of them are there, and it feels like all of these are going to work well. So thank you for this opportunity. It is I, Albayon. I guess I'll be speaking with you again this evening on Saluia. Okay, this is Shelly. I honestly didn't know what to expect. Maybe I could have just gone in and done a global thing, but before I knew it, we were going down one by one by one. Well, I kind of sort of wanted to, but I think we're going to get a lot more information from these people. But I know I feel very optimistic about everyone that I tapped into here. I feel very optimistic about the way things are going. And I know that changes are already in place, that they're not waiting until January 20th. There's already a flow and a movement of things that are happening. So thank you very much for listening to this. Please share your comments, subscribe, like, whatever it is you might need to do. And I truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.